Thank you, Chairman. Um, I'm encouraged by Commissioner Clyburn's focus on retention. It reflects many of my concerns about a greater retention issue that we have across sort of all branches of military among our active duty labor force. And admittedly, while I'm new to the committee and new to my time in Congress, so I'm early in my tenure, some of that is anecdotal as I speak with fighter pilots in the ops tempo that incentives to go to the private sector are great, and that's growing in that regard. And I have big concerns there, and I hope to use my time in this committee to address that. And so with that same thought process, I want to make sure that we're not going down the same path that maybe as we talk about the potential of an academy, which with bipartisan support, something that I could very well be excited about. That is 5 years enough? Like this concept of just putting a time limit on it, what you're expected to do, is that enough, or are we going to see some of the same issues that as soon as that 5-year timeline kind of hits, because there's so much need in the private sector right now with AI and cybersecurity. Are we going to see that same retention or attrition issues there? So I'll direct my question to Commissioner Clyburn. Any of you are welcome to comment. Thank you.
Could I add something ahead of Commissioner Clyburn? I was really struck in my work with the Defense Department of how many people worked there for low pay and in difficult conditions because they were patriotic. And the ones that I spoke with did not fundamentally leave for money. They left because the opportunity in their career was more interesting in the private sector, that the work that they wanted to do, they could not do while as federal or military employees. That's got to get fixed. To provide leadership at the national level, we're going to have places for these people to serve while they're in the government. And this is true not just of the DoD, but any aspects of the federal government. We've stated earlier, we believe these people to exist, we believe they're already in your employ, and we believe they're underutilized. To me, that's a big priority for this committee to think about. How do we create it so we keep these people rather than allow them to become disaffected and then leave for higher paying jobs? Commissioner Clyburn?
So I will do something that's unusual and be brief. I believe what we can do and what we should do is ensure that the tools and the infrastructure inside of government for those who want to stay, who are willing to stay, as the chairman mentioned, that they have the tools needed in order to be productive, in order to be challenged, in order for us to meet our national security objectives. That's the biggest issue. It's the frustration inside of the infrastructure that needs to be fixed. So if we fix that, I don't think we will have as much of a retention problem. Those who want to run after money, they will do so. But there are more people who want to serve, but they are not going to go to work every day and get frustrated about advancing, being onboarded, and a lot of the other issues that we enumerate in this 450-plus pages of light reading.
Let me just add 10 seconds to this. Well, in our discussions, both in the AI Commission and in my work with the DIB, it was pretty clear we had a large number of junior officers departing. And the reason why they were departing was because of the lack of understanding by their senior officers of what these technologies can do. And that frustration forced them to go choose employment elsewhere. They're committed to this country, they're committed to the services, but we need to educate our seniors, not just our junior officers.
There's an incredible amount of bureaucracy that does exist in these situations. I think that actually gets to a lot of your points. I support that and hope to be a part of finding ways for that labor force to be engaged and committed to continuing to move forward. Because while it's a great thing for our private economies to have such good training at the government level, we do have to address this. So I appreciate those comments and hope to work with you on all of that. Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.